All right. Before we get started here today, I just wanted to show you the music that we're going to be listening to. It's called New Retro Wave. It's pretty much what I listen to all day, every day. They have thousands of songs. It's royalty free, so I don't think YouTube's going to have a problem with me playing it. But really, really good, just old school synth music. All right, what are we going to be doing? We are going to make a video game, front end, back end, the client server, the database. Going to show you everything you need to do. It's going to be a game that'll work on both PC and mobile platforms. It'll be very scalable because the server architecture is going to build entirely on REST APIs. We're going to be using the Unreal game engine. And for the back end, I've chosen to go with a very lightweight Rails-like Ruby library called Sinatra. Many of you may have heard of it. So before we get into the game engine and stuff, I just wanted to show you kind of where I'm at in the planning and design phase. So this here is UML. UML can create these beautiful diagrams. So this is kind of just basic object structures that I've kind of thought about and I've planned ahead a little bit there, as well as I've gone in and kind of designed how I want the interfaces to flow in the game. So when we start making, like the splash screen connects to the start screen, for instance. On the start screen, there's a login, config, exit, and if the login button is not available, meaning there's no like cached client-side credentials, there's going to be a new account. Click on new account. It'll say, hey, I actually don't need a new account, I just can't log in, and then it'll give you the option to log in there. Otherwise, you can create a new account. So you may want to know what basic kind of game we're going to be making. We are going to be making a pseudo RPG. I got to turn this down a little bit. Sorry for the cleavage. We're going to be making, it's like a pseudo RPG. Each account is only going to have one character, so you kind of are bound to that. So I kind of wanted it to be a reflection of reality in that sense, as you only get one person, right? But it is going to be what I'm calling asynchronous multiplayer enabled. So you can create a party, or you can create a guild. There's going to be player versus player or player versus environment types of scenarios. You can, when you form up parties, part of the, gimmicks of the game, so to speak, is going to be you as the player can design, I'm going with 3 right now, 3 different loadouts for your character that people can pick from. That way you're not totally bound to one play style, right? So for instance, if you pick the fighter class, you can be, like a melee DPS kind of guy, or you can be, a tank, or, maybe there's, 2 different types of melee DPS. I'm just, off the cuff here. There's support classes, tank classes, DPS classes. Again, you can configure 3 different loadouts, but here's the kicker. A loadout, in my mind right now, consists of 6 skills. So there's going to be hundreds of skills for each class that you can choose from. When you make a loadout, you pick 6 of them. But the real kicker is, as the player, you get to kind of customize the AI of your character when he's in another person's party, right? So if I'm the party leader, I still only get to control my character, but I have AI versions of my friends with me, all right? And they've built the loadout that their characters have configured, both gear and skills, and they've also customized the AI that their characters function on, right? So there's going to be some pretty interesting party compositions, I think, where you can even have multiples of the same classes, even on the same build or similar loadouts, but because the AI is different, maybe they even serve different roles, right? So that's kind of where I'm going with that. All right, well, without further ado, let's get into Unreal. This is probably why most everybody's watching this. I haven't done anything in the game yet, and I'm gonna try to do most of the Unreal work on a video recorded, so you guys can kind of see the thought process and how it unfolds. I'm gonna do a lot of planning and the back-end server work offline, so that'll kind of be operating in the shadows. You guys won't really get to see the fruits of that unless you request. If I get a lot of video hype going on, like I have in some previous videos, I'll go through and do some tutorials on how to actually build a back end. But again, this isn't a traditional Unreal client server architecture, right? Because client server is built into Unreal. This is going to be the client server running locally, which is essentially a single player game. But I'm going to put in some HTTP and netcode into Unreal, bake those into blueprints, and I'm going to have REST APIs on my backend callable from Blueprint, right? So that's where the multiplayer aspect comes into play, which is why it's going to be super scalable, and it's going to be hopefully something really cool and enjoyable. But I think this is the most recent version of Unreal at this current time. The date right now is 4/22/2017. So we got Unreal 4.15.1. Just going to launch it. And I've got my build chain and my whole environment kind of set up and pre-configured. There's lots of good tutorials on how to do that. All right, so I'm gonna go no starter content. Actually, we'll just we'll keep the starter content. We can always remove it later. Going for maximum quality. The reason why I'm not picking scalable quality, or I'm not going to transfer it to mobile or tablet, is two reasons really. One being mobile is almost as powerful as all right, given certain constraints, right? I'm not going to go polygon post-processing crazy on this game, right? It's going to be fairly simple graphics. I mean, fairly simple. It's not going to be cumbersome to any mobile platform out there, right? Any modern mobile platform. So I'm just going to leave it on desktop, right? That'll make my testing a little easier. I won't have to worry about the emulators. And like I said, I've got tablet here. I've got my phone sitting somewhere. So I'm going to be able to do any testing I want on both Android, iOS, and PC, which is, I think, pretty important. And we are going to go with this top-down because I want it to be like a click-to-move kind of idea, right? So think of classic games like Final Fantasy, right? Where you've got a world map, top-down view, you kind of control where your guy moves around in the world map. That's how it's going to be, right? You can see a little town, so a town might be represented by, this little box. Could be a little castle or something. As soon as you collide with that little castle, you're going to load into the town. No more random encounters enabled. You're going to be able to go to the shopkeeper and all that kind of stuff. So that's why we're picking top down. I'm going to change where I store this thing at. And we're going to create a new folder here. Actually, I don't think I need the new folder. Let's delete that. I think if I just pick development here, it'll put the project in here. We're going to call it Top Down RPG. And I think that's all we got to do on this screen, right? Still drinking my morning coffee. All right. And we are in Unreal at this point. So I don't need these tutorials. I kind of know what I'm doing. There's our little dude. There's some boxes. We got, the camera is at a little bit of a tilt, which I'm going to fix that. So-and-so fix that. Gonna go ahead and edit the blueprint for this. And then go to the viewport, because I don't like the arc of the boom here. So I think they call it a spring arm. And this. And we're gonna create this to be at a 75 degree. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why did that? Oh, geez. So I need to do like negative 75. That'll work. Oh yeah, it does say negative 60. We'll make it negative 75. Save that. Alright, now I should be pretty much top down, right? Which is kind of what I want. And I think I want to be a little bit further zoomed out even. So all we got to do here is adjust the length of the boom. Make it 1,000 instead of 800. Okay. And I'll probably end up taking it out further than this even, but this is good enough for now. So first things first, right? Those data structures I talked about, we're going to have some blueprints here, obviously. So create a blueprints folder. What I'm going to do now is go back in here, create a data folder. And inside the data folder is where I'm going to start making the core data objects that we're going to be working with, right? So let me pull up this. The data structures. So I got an account data structure, you know, with player character, and this is kind of like behind where my planning is. I honestly need to go through and update this a little bit. But so since an account can only have one player, let's go ahead and make an account object, right? And where's that structure? So we'll call this account struct. And now here's the fairly painful part. Gonna change all these to string. I don't want localizable for this, and you'll see why. So this is going to be an email address, right? And then I need a few more of these little guys. This is going to be your account name, and I'm a little bit crazy on the casing of things. And so we got email, account name, which is going to be different than your player name, right? Because I want a little bit of security there. I don't want people to be able to like brute force an account just because you know the character's name, right? So I want to disconnect the account name from the character name. The email is just there to do like a password recovery type operation. Then we're going to do a password. But obviously we're not storing a password in the database. It's going to be some hashed version of a password. And then we'll do the date time object here, and this is going to be birthday. So when was the account made, right? Because I might want to enable veteran rewards at some point, or early adopter rewards. So if your account is, you know, a year old, you know, you unlock these certain bonuses, that kind of stuff. And then we need some booleans, right? Like it is locked. Might want to lock accounts out, right? Like not quite do a full ban, but you know, just lock somebody out. And I can do like is banned. Stop somebody from playing altogether. What else do we need in here? I think that's good for now. So we can log in, right? We got an account name and password. We can log in. Server knows when. Oh, here we go. Maybe when we do friends lists, because I want people to be able to have the same. Maybe not. We'll associate the is online property with the actual character. just in case somewhere down the line I want to make multiple characters per account, which I don't see that happening, but we'll leave it at that. All right, so we're going to leave this blueprint editor up. We're going to create a new structure, and we're going to call this player character. Oh, I forgot some. No, I didn't. This will work. So the account name is essentially going to operate as the unique ID for the account. So your account name can be like foobar832. You know, it doesn't really matter because that's not going to display in the game. So all of our name checking and stuff is going to be on this actual character name. So let's change this to a string. All right. Let's give ourselves a little more room to work with here, and this is going to be first name. We'll just do name, and then I might want to unlock some other stuff so we can have a surname. So maybe after you get so far, you can have a last name. Maybe you can have a prefix and a suffix. So you can be Sir Kyle, you know, or Sir Kyle of the Round Table, something like that. You know, you might want to unlock these things eventually in the game through some sort of questing or achievement-based reward system. So we're going to go ahead and plan for that now. And we need another string associated with the character. I'm not sure. But we're going to switch this to Boolean now. We're going to just say is online. All right. And go back here. Create another type of data object called an enumeration. And this is going to be player classes. So now we're going to create some player classes, right? So I've kind of said I want like an archer, I want a bard, a cleric, and a fighter. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What's going on here? What else can we do? We'll do like a rogue. Hold on. Hopefully I got my microphone off in time. Whew, excuse me. Excuse me. I'll start here at the bottom. We want a wizard. Maybe we want like some sort of Dark Knight paladin kind of stuff. So we got archer, bard, cleric, fighter, wizard. Oh yeah, rogue. Instead of rogue, we'll do a thief. That'll be more fun. We'll go ahead and delete some of these. So that's good enough to start out with for now. And the reason why I wanted to do that is I want to be able to pick that player class, right? So, and this is going to be, what class are you? All right. You can set some default values in here if you wanted to. I don't think it's really necessary right now. Something that's pretty important that you want to make sure you do. It's so important, actually. I'm going to move it at the very top here. You want to associate the account to the character, right? So we want to have an account name variable in there too. It doesn't have to be displayed or anything, but we definitely want it. And let's go back into the blueprints here, create another structure, and this is going to be our stats structure, right? So what kind of stats do you want in the game? Let's see, what kind of stats do we want in the game? How do I want to want to do this. So I could have two booleans here, right? Like is dying, which you might need that at some point, or just an is dead. The reason why I'm not putting these in the player is I want NPCs, non-player characters, to also have these things, right? So this is going to be something that we put inside a player class, and we put inside a non-player class, right? Maybe we put it inside, that'll be good. So we have is dying, is dead, right? And the reason why you might want a is dying versus an is dead is something can be in the dying state, but not quite be dead yet, if that makes any sense. For animation purposes, right? So, when we get into the animation builder, we're going to have cues for animations, right? Like is attacking or is casting. Those are going to be cues that we can set inside of the character structures. And then when we're inside the animation builder, we can pick up on these cues, right? And trigger off of them and say, oh, he's casting, so we're going to play the casting animation. Or he is dying, so we're going to stop all animations and start to play the is dying animation, or one of our is dying animations. And then when we get to the is dead, maybe we just change to a static pose, right? So these are important things. So we're going to have some base hit points. We're going to have some current hit points. Then we can get some basic stats in here. We'll have like strength, dexterity, oh geez, maybe like an intelligence value and a wisdom value. So it's kind of like the start of a little bit of a character here, right? We can always go back and edit that later. Then I'm going to come in back into our player character structure, get our stats in here, right? So these are our stats. And if you look, we can expand the stats down here. And we now have access to all of those stats variables that I created, right? In one easy to access object. All right, things are starting to look pretty decent. One thing I wanted to accomplish in this video was to kind of show you guys how the skill system is going to work, right? Let's go ahead and one more thing with the player. I think this needs to be a 3D transform, including translation, rotation, and 3D scale. That's what we want. And we're going to call it home. Alright, so where's the character bound at, essentially? Where's his home point? So we should have location, rotation, and scale. Fantastic. So with that in mind, that's kind of what the first skill I'm going to make is based off of, right? Just a go home button. These are pretty useful. Maybe in World of Warcraft you have the Hearthstone, I think, or whatever. That's their other card game. Maybe that's what it's still called. But in older games like Ultima Online, you had a rune system where you could mark a rune and cast a recall spell on that same rune that you marked, and it would teleport your character to wherever you marked that rune at, right? Where the point you were standing when you marked that rune. So that might be something I want to implement later on. But for now, we're just going to have a single button. Boop, takes us home. So we're going to be able to essentially set a bind point and then return to that bind point. Maybe if we die, even, we also return to this bind point. So there's many reasons why I want to have a set home or travel home type functionality. Also, when the game is in this development / alpha stage, there's always a chance that maybe you didn't quite design a level correctly and you get stuck on the terrain. Well, instead of, having to crash it out or, quit it out or something, or, if your character's just permanently stuck there, you got to delete it and start over again. You can just hit a home button and boop, it takes you home. Right. Also, this can be the point where when you log out and log in, you always log in your home spot, right? Prevents like logging in and logging out kind of bugs or progression through glitching like that. So, or no big deal. Actually, I do want it like that. I want it to be pretty roguelike, right? I don't want people to be able to progress really far in a dungeon and then just like, oh, I'm just gonna log out here and I'll pick up where I left off tomorrow. Nah, sorry, that doesn't work that way. You got to go through the whole dungeon again. You got to do it all in one sitting. All right. And whenever we get a little further into the game development, this home, we will have a default location for it, right? But for now, we can just jam like this. Now I need some kind of objects here. I want to be able to set our home point. So what we'll do is we'll create some geometry. We'll just make one of these little cube guys. And we'll throw them out over here. Bloop. Make them kind of levitating. We'll rotate them a little bit. Make it pretty interesting looking. Oh, 45 angle there. Oh, 45 angle there. Now that's not quite the look I want. Maybe what I want is a 90. No, that's not what I want. Maybe I want a 90 on the Y. No, that's not what I want. Maybe I want 45 on the Y. Well, it's starting to look better. I want 45 on there. Yeah, that's what I wanted. The point sticking straight up. That's kind of what I was going for. All right. And then we'll convert this to like a blueprint. And we're going to call it bind home cube. Boom, shakalaka. And now we're going to add a trigger component. Oh, wait, collision. Let's make a box collision here. Sphere collision, maybe. We'll go with a sphere collision. And where's my radius? We'll set the radius a little bigger. Okay. And then we can have like an event graph here where we've got some context. Add events for sphere collision. Oh, wait. No, is it? That's what I want. No, we'll just call it. Get some ambiguity removed from the situation. Collision sphere. I want to call a function when we get some collision. Oh, wait. Add event. Yeah, we want to add an event for collision. On begin overlap. So this is going to be pretty interesting, right? So we're going to do print. By the way, print is a very useful debugging function here in Unreal. We can take the other actor, right, and cast to player. Is that what it's called? Right, we're just using the default blueprint right now, so I need to make sure I got this right. It's called top-down character. Okay. Cast to top-down character, and more importantly, I need to open up this top-down character also and put a variable in here. I'm going to call it my my player information, and this needs to be a player character structure, right? So now we have our player character structure inside of our controllable actor, right? It's kind of what we want. still compiles. Things are looking good. So if this succeeds to cast as a top-down character, that means we kind of know that, hey, that's, and we know that this is a player, right, that we've interacted with, not like an arrow, projectile, or something like that. So we'll get player information, and then we'll break this out, bloop, and then we can set our home. Oh, wait, no, I gotta set it. Set members. There we go. That's what I want. Well, maybe that's not what I want. What am I doing here? Select a component to see. I don't think that's what I want either. Huh. I need to set this guy. I don't need an array element. Oh, well, there we go. That's how I do it. Alright. So we're going to get the transform out of that. And we're going to set it to where they're at now. So we're at the bind cube home, so we're going to get the world transform here. Get actor transform. And we're going to just set, oh, whoops. Bloop, like that. No, this is the target. Well, that's actually not the node I need. Set? Yeah, set. Oh, no, that's like a mathematical set. This is it. Set members in player character structure. Adds a node that modifies a player character struct. Right, so oh, whoops. Whoops. We'll split it. Alright, we're kind of making bacon now. And then can we collapse these again? Right here, remove all other pins. Well, maybe we can't collapse it down. That's okay. And we'll get rid of that. Might be a more optimal way to do this later, but for now, this is how I know it's going to work. And then we can and we'll set our player information to that guy. Bleep, bloop, bloop. And we don't need to debug it. Actually, we'll go ahead and just print out what our new location is. All right. So now, when we walk over here, I realize it's not interactive right now, but in the upper left, we're going to get the debug message of where our new bind point is set. Boop, see, we just set it. We can move over here, boop, set it again. Okay. So that's kind of how that part of this thing works. Now we need a button to press to take us back to our bind point. Right. So we're just going to kind of rough this out also. The object here is to get to something playable as quickly as possible, right? So we want to be able to have something functional, and then we want to be able to have something playable, and then we'll evolve it into something that's actually enjoyable, right? So there's going to be a few evolutions. All right, well, so what we need to do now is create a user interface, right? We'll just call it a blueprint widget for now. Oh no, I didn't want it there though. I'll delete that. And we need a new folder, call it UI. And inside here, we will create a new interface, and we're gonna just, like I said, super rough, home button. Go home, interface. So, I like working with UIs in full screen a little bit. So, this is a canvas. That'll work. And we'll just drag a little button out here. We'll drag some text inside the button. We will make the button a little bit bigger. We're going to anchor the button in a different location, which we'll want to anchor it in the bottom right. Boom. And this text block is going to say go home. And then this button needs a on clicked. We're going to get owning player. All right. Then we're going to get player character. Maybe it's get player controller. Is player controller? Where's my get player state? Where's my get player controller? Oh. Here we go. Gotta cast this. cast this as a top-down controller. And then when this succeeds, we want to get our what do I call this? Top-down controller is what it is, right? Yeah. Oh no, it's a top-down character. No, whoops. Can I get a character? Yeah, I'll just get the player character. Yeah, there we go. We'll do this the easy way. And we'll cast this to a top-down character. And then we will set the actor transform. Oops, not the state. There's my variable. Top-down character. It's called player information. And we'll split this struct pin. We'll set our transform back to that. Okay. Alright. We're playing. So let's make sure we go set our transform first. Oh, wait. Ooh. We don't have an interface yet. We don't have the interface yet. So what I need to do then is go back into this top-down character. What is this? Head-mounted display. Oh, yeah. We don't need this VR camera thing. We'll just... let's add a UI element here. We'll create a widget. Our go home interface. We'll get a reference to self here. All right. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. This goes in the controller. No big deal. Let's open up our player controller. That's on tick. Where's our on created? Do we not have an on created? We don't. Begin play. That's what we're looking for. need to go back and create this widget again. And now we should be able to get a reference to self. And we're going to create a user widget. Nope, not a user widget, a go home interface. And then we're going to add this to our viewport. All right, now we should have our go home button. There we do, and we can interact with it. And like I said, we need to set our home point before we go trying to go to 000. So we've set it. Now when we hit go home, bloop, it's like we cast the spell. We just return straight home. We'll set it to this side of the cube this time, just to show you that it's, bloop, see, works like a champ. And now we can warp back there again. And eventually, you know, we'll have a fancy little spell icon. It'll have like a casting time, maybe. There'll be some particle effects. More to come on that. More to come on that for sure. But there we go. Set our home point. Go home. Bloop. There we go. Notice it even does the orientation and everything. So I'm always going to be facing the cube. So this one I'm going to be facing downward because it locks the orientation like that. See if I can approach it this way. I'll be facing that way when I hit go home. See? Saves everything about that. Neato burrito. All right, I think we're good for now. We've got a fairly decent start. Next video, we'll probably get into the character creation aspect, where we will actually go through, create our account, do our naming stuff, pick our class, all these things. We might make a couple more interfaces in that video. Sounds like we will be making a couple more interfaces. But before then, I got to do some more work on the back end. So, till next time.